have him.
I mean, look, Jimmy Garoppolo is running off the field right now. I'm going to go join him, but this is incredible.
Okay, so you got a little bit of coaching analysis, and then you get a little fun.
They love him. They love him.
Love him.
Yeah.
Love him.
Takes the team to new heights.
Absolutely.
Kyle Shanahan put him up for adoption, watched everyone walk past the window, was like, I guess we'll take him back home, and now he loves him so much. But go ahead, Wild.
Are you surprised by Jimmy G's performance last night?
Of course I was.
Really?
Shocked.
I wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Anytime Jimmy G plays great, and he was pretty damn good last night, I'm shocked because it's very rare. That was one of the best games of his career, Brew. So, of course, that is shocking. I was very surprised. Now, given the competition, maybe I shouldn't have been because the Cardinals have quit. Yeah. And you saw that on that final George Kittle touchdown. We can talk more about them later. But I want to give Brew a compliment here and nice. Myself a compliment.
Oh, good.
Actually.
Thank goodness.
No. Because Brew and I are the only two members, it would seem, of the entire football media that is consistent and steadfast and not fickle and flip-flopping with our Jimmy G opinions. Now, we disagree, but every other show in America a month ago is out on Jimmy G. This morning I'm hearing folks be like, well, you got to give him credit. You got to admit, maybe he's turned over a new leaf. Even Wilds has literally and figuratively changed sides of the desk on the Jimmy G. Right, on the Jimmy G argument. And so, yes, I was very surprised. And no, I will not detract from his game yesterday by talking about the yards after catch or the dinking and dunking that everyone saw. Okay. Because he played excellent. No, he played excellent.
You just did.
I just acknowledged it. But does this change my opinion that he is the 49ers' weak link? Of course not. And in fact, Chris Broussard, even with all your odd Jimmy G fandom where you're like, nobody's saying he's great, but here's why I think he's great. Even I think he's their weak link. And so, yeah, I was very surprised because he played great. Do I expect that to continue? Of course not. My only evidence is his whole career.
On a team with so many great players. I mean, you got, like you've mentioned before, they've got all pros everywhere. Receivers, running backs, tight end, defense. Yeah, he's not that level. So I'll give you that. I don't want to call him a weak link, though. I'll just say he's not an all-pro like a lot of the rest of the stars on the team. Sure. And he is kind of a star because everybody loves him. You saw him at the Golden State game. All the cheerleaders went to see him. Not
he's
Christian
a celebrity.
McCaffrey. Not
that
George Kittle and Juszczyk and all that. Yeah. No, he's not a great player, but he's a very good player. He's a very good player. All right. And here's the thing. I'm insulted by the question.
Why?
Why should I be surprised that Jimmy G played well? This is what he does. And Nick, I know you like to say I'm a QB wins guy. I'm not.
You are.
Have I ever been yelling about Zach Wilson? Oh, my. No. He's better than Trevor Lawrence. Why? He's winning? No. Never been on that bandwagon. Was I ever saying Cooper Rush? I had the discussion, but I was I was never like Cooper Rush should take Dak's spot because he's winning. I have not, Nick, you have to admit this, I have not even jumped on the Geno Smith bandwagon.
Well, that's out of
even as Seattle wins.
That's out of loyalty to Russell Wilson. No. Otherwise, you would.
I'm going to tell you when I'm a QB wins guy.
When it's Jimmy G?
When before that QB got there, or when he's there and hurt, or when he leaves, you lose. But when he's there, you win.
Can I ask?
And that is why I love Jimmy G. And I want to see it. Look, you love Kyle Shanahan, Nick. He's the boy wonder.
Yes.
He's Robin. He's a genius. He's 9-29 without
stay
Jimmy
on that
G.
for a moment?
And look at what he is with Jimmy G.
Even me, the biggest Jimmy G critic, will be acknowledge and say willingly, he is far better than Brian Hoyer, C.J. Beathard, and Nick Mullins, which are the only quarterbacks who have started in Trey Lance, who actually has a good record, but it's very limited. I think it's 2. He's 2-2. He's the Trey Lance, though, take him out of it. But we are not. The reason I dislike that particular stat so much is because we have not seen it with any other even somewhat passable starting quarterback. Brian Hoyer hasn't started since he left San Francisco.
But he was
what?
He was a guy you might have thought would have been a good backup. He was a backup in New England.
They're all backups.
Cooper Rush is a backup. Gardner Minshew is a backup. That's what backups do.
Right, they're all backups.
Jacoby Brissett.
So right, my point is that 9 and the win-loss record with Jimmy G is impressive. The 9 and 29 I don't care about because to me that is more of an indictment on C.J. Beathard. Because I don't know if anyone could win. Those guys have never won.
Jimmy G has won.
No. Anyone could win with those quarterbacks. With C.J. Beathard, Nick Mullins, and Brian Hoyer. They're not NFL starting quarterbacks. Okay. And so it's not, but the Niners the whole time the last few years he's been there, they've had this great defense. They've had this great running game. They have a guy who I think is an excellent offensive-minded coach. And so, yeah, the Jimmy G conversation to me is very simple, which is, do you trust that what we saw last night is going to be more of an outlier or more of the norm? Don't worry about the 4 touchdowns. Just playing clean football, clean, efficient football. To me, that is clearly the outlier, particularly against good teams. And so, no, I picked this team to go to the Super Bowl with what I thought was going to be essentially a rookie quarterback because I love the weapons so much.
And you still got them going.
And they've since added Christian McCaffrey. But sometimes in football, you win despite your quarterback. That was not the Niners yesterday, Wilds. Jimmy G was excellent. But I just know it doesn't change my opinion of it.
I got something I got to throw in there.
All right, go.
All right, first of all, Jimmy G has played clean football the last 3 weeks. They're 3-0.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got 6 touchdowns, 73% completion percentage. Get this passer rating, 119.6.
Yeah.
He's having the best season arguably of his career.
How
and
many
I want to
interceptions, do you know?
4. Well, none the last 2 weeks, but 4 this season is 15 touchdowns.
Yes.
Let's do a nickel like this. Because one, you love blind reveals.
Here we go.
You love blind reveals, and you love one of these players. So look at this. Completion percentage, okay, one has a little advantage. Passing yards is essentially the same.
The guy on the left is Jimmy G. I know.
Okay.
I know the guy on the left.
Who's the guy on the right? Do you know? He's a favorite of yours.
It's a 108
passer
rating.
Left and right.
The guy, it's not Mahomes. It's not, I know who it is.
Let's reveal it.
Go ahead. It's Gino.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
So why, Wild, you see the numbers, let's call them the same. Why the consistent dislike, disdain, criticism for Jimmy G, but the other guy is in your MVP race?
Because
he's in the conversation. He's on your ballot.
One guy has, I believe, the best defense in football in the Niners. The other guy's defense has been very up and down throughout the year. One guy has the best running game in football. The other guy has a team that has struggled to find a running game for years. One guy has the second best tight end in football. And the other guy has no capable tight end there, except for I guess you could argue Fant, who they traded for
from Denver. He got some pretty good
Denver.
receivers, though.
And so and to me, the context of it's very different. But I am wild confused by Brew going to that full screen because all year long he's told me Gino is going to turn into a pumpkin, and now you are favorably comparing him to.
He hasn't yet, though.
No, he hasn't.
And while he's a Cinderella or whatever you want to call him, his numbers are good.
And what's amazing,
Jimmy
Wild,
G's right
is
there.
Gino and Jimmy G the same number of quality playoff starts, 0. Now Gino has no playoff starts at all, but the same number of quality playoff starts.
The 2 years he's been healthy, NFC title game, Super Bowl. And this year you expect 2 Super Bowls and 3 healthy
You guys told when I tried to give Mahomes credit for AFC title game Super Bowl appearances, you guys said it doesn't count.
No,
so I'm very confused by that. But go ahead.
Not a silver medalist guy. On the other side of the ball, talking about the Cardinals, which some smart football people had going to the Super Bowl.
Some very smart football people.
Colt McCoy filled in for Kyler. Before the game, the Monday night team compared Kyler to Colt McCoy. And here's kind of the 3 quote panels that we've got. Here's Larry Fitzgerald. Conversation with former teammates were glowing about his leadership. Leading meetings, this is Colt McCoy. Taking the onus. If he makes a mistake, saying, that was on me, I'm going to get it fixed. That's a big part of being a leader. Okay. Compliment to Colt, didn't mention Kyler. Now, RG3 said this about Kyler. Seems like he's on his own sheet of music when he's playing the game. He's on the sidelines having arguments with the head coach, like he's David Ruffin in the Temptations, right? And Kyler Murray's David Ruffin. I think that's actually a compliment. And then finally,
it didn't sound like a compliment. Maybe musically it's a compliment, but I don't think he meant it complimentarily.
But still.
He's on his own.
And Steve Young says, you got to change your game, figure it out, so everyone can start to resonate with you. You don't want to lose this team, especially after signing that big contract. Okay, so Nick, this resonated with you. Why?
Well, I think it's very interesting that Larry Fitzgerald got this ball rolling, was sitting there and didn't push back on any of it. Larry Fitzgerald's the best player, in modern Cardinals history. Larry Fitzgerald's one of the most respected players in modern NFL history. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer who I think is, without question, one of the 5 best in the history of his position. Or let's call him one of the 10 best. I don't want to argue about that. Everyone loves him. Larry Fitzgerald also has done TV in different avenues, while he was a player, and now he knows how these segments work. And we, to pull back the curtain a bit, Wilds, do they have a production meeting where, like, hey, we're going to talk about Colts' awesome stuff and Kyler's limitations? Yeah, they do. And Larry got that ball rolling. And Larry also, a lot of people think, had some football left in him. And Larry stopped playing when he could have kept playing for the Cardinals when they were, theoretically, the one thing he's missing Super Bowl ring as well. Said some people thought they could win Super Bowl. And so, Wilds, I want to go to you here. I think the Cardinals have a very serious Kyler Murray problem. They obviously have a coach problem. Cliff Kingsbury's been bad at every place.
He's eventually going to
But he's going to go.
Yep.
They gave Kyler this money. He argues with the coach. He argues with DeAndre. The ownership doesn't seem to trust him. And the legendary player sat on that stage yesterday and, pushed the boulder down the hill that was going to roll him over.
But in a nice way. He was just giving compliments to Colt McCoy.
Fitzy just gave compliments, but he knew what was coming next. And Steve Young, who also is not a hot take guy, crushed him.
It was
in a kind way, but crushed him. I think they have a big Kyler Murray problem, Wild.
So the problem is, outside of firing Cliff Kingsbury, I don't know what you're supposed to do. It feels like everyone's rooting for Kyler Murray, and they're trying to get him to reach his potential in sometimes the most awkward way possible, like clauses in your contract that says you have to study, that then becomes a whole fiasco. But I don't know if it's going to happen. And the weird thing from these quotes that I took away, Brew, a little bit of like when Baker was getting ripped in Cleveland. Like, we need to hear someone within the organization
defend him.
Vehemently.
Fitzgerald
and we don't
was
hear
supposed to be that guy. I mean, you knew he wasn't going to be, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, if there was somebody that was going to do it on that panel, it would have been Fitzgerald. Look, I was here last year. I've worked with the guy. Look, he's got some growing to do, but none of that.
We don't hear it.
And look, here's the deal. I think Kyler Murray loves football because he chose it over baseball. Right? He could have been a great baseball, or at least made
that was in
MLB.
the segment too. Like, it feels like Colt McCoy loves football. It's like,
right.
Geez, we're having a
right.
loves football conversation.
And I think somebody brought up this